In today's episode, we're talking about facing your fears once again in order to achieve wealth. Let's find out why it's so important. Welcome, welcome. This is Gull Khan, your money mindset expert, and I help entrepreneurs like you to break free from limiting beliefs, reverse your money shame, and to blast through your money blocks so that you can live a life of unlimited abundance. And today we're talking about the need to face your fears. I've been talking recently quite a lot. I just came out of a workshop, and I shared my story quite a bit, and I became aware of something that pleasantly surprised me. I've been working at it for quite some time, but it just took me by surprise how something that used to be one of my biggest fears, used to be one of my biggest uglies, has now become the source of my greatest strength. And I realized this is a pivotal moment because now I feel empowered, even more so than before, to go towards my goal, and especially the goal of becoming wealthy. And let me share. So I share my story very openly and very candidly about my two, not one but two abusive marriages. And up until recently, I've shared it, and I've almost like worn it with like tried to wear it like a badge of honor, like I do my dyslexia. I'm severely dyslexic, and therefore I fumble over my words, and especially when I'm writing, my handwriting's atrocious, and my spelling's even worse. But I accept that element about myself, that I am dyslexic. I'm severely dyslexic, and I wear it with a badge of honor. And I was trying to achieve this with my two divorces. And I have to say, I was trying because I didn't quite get there. I only realized when I've shared my story in during this two day workshop. I shared it, and I like always do, and it occurred to me I no longer have any embarrassment, any fears around it. And I know we've all heard the story in the past that if you're afraid of something, when you turn around and face your fears, you find your fears disappear. But it's one thing to talk about it. It's a second thing, it's another thing altogether to actually experience it, to go through it. I have spoken very openly for the past 5 years about both of my divorces. But for somebody in the Western culture, that's probably not a big thing. But I come from the South Asian culture. My parents are from Pakistan, so they were born in India, so India, Pakistan, that's the kind of culture I belong to. And my husband, the second one especially, was from Pakistan. He's born and brought up in Pakistan. And he actually said this to me, which I think struck a chord with me and stayed with me for the longest time, was this comment of his. I remember when we were on the brink of getting divorced and I was filing the paperwork. And he said to me, "Go, even after everything I've done," and he admitted it, he didn't deny. By this point, obviously, everything had come to light. His many indiscretions. He had been cheating on me since we got married. So we were only married for about just over 7 years, and right from the beginning of the marriage, he had been cheating, and there was lots of interesting characters in his life with casinos and gambling and prostitution and whatever else, and all sorts of interesting lifestyles that he had. And I think he got over the point of denying everything now, and he was fully open to admitting it. And he said to me very, very blatantly and openly, when he didn't want to divorce me, obviously I was asking for a divorce, and I said we need to separate, and we are divorcing. I think his last comment, which stuck with me, was, even after everything I've done, everything. He said, even after everything I've done, no one's going to blame me. No one's going to say a word against me. They're all going to blame you. They're all going to call you a divorcee who's been divorced twice, a woman who has one child from one husband and another child from another husband. they're going to look down upon your character, because I do believe, and I have always held myself to be a pious woman. They are going to question your character. People are going to question who you are and point fingers at you. No one's even going to raise an eyebrow at what I did or what I didn't do. No one's going to blame me. And even though I brushed this comment off at that time, I think this comment stayed with me the most, because somewhere in my energy field, somewhere in my mind, I sort of agreed with this, that somehow his actions and his behavior and his indiscretions and everything that he'd done would be ignored, and I would be stigmatized and I would be blamed for being divorced twice, even though nothing I could have done would have saved this marriage. There was nothing to save in the marriage. There was absolutely nothing. The level of betrayal and his behavior was unbelievable. It wasn't just the fact that he did cheat, it was the level of abuse. He's a narcissistic person. So when I look back in hindsight, I am actually aghast at the level of abuse that the woman, I'm not the same woman anymore, obviously, that the woman suffered and tolerated during that marriage. And it really shocks me to the level that she put up with, just because there was a fear in her mind. I think even because I think that because of the level of abuse, even before I found out about the indiscretions, the level of abuse was, I sort of knew that I kind of knew that I needed to leave this person. I had to end the marriage. But this fear that I would be divorced twice haunted me, and it stopped me. But unfortunately, when I found out about his affair, and it was obviously I literally caught him red-handed, there was no going back from that moment, and I had made a decision then that I was going to leave. So then that fear of people judging me, people criticizing me, and my culture does. Okay, I want to share something with you guys now. Recently, I went and I met some of my friends, my college friends, and one of my friends, and I'm not going to say her name, bless her, she was saying it from a place of love. I have to say it. She was saying it from a place of love, but the way she said it would highlight to you the kind of community I belong to. And keep in mind that this friend of mine has known me since I was 16, so she's fully aware of my character and who I am. And so she's not questioning that at all. She's just saying it from the world, the society, our culture's point of view. And her comment was, a Gull, people can look from the outside and say, oh, but she's a divorcee and she's been divorced twice, but I'm so proud of you. You've done so well. She was actually complimenting me, right? I think in her own way, she was really trying to compliment. She wasn't trying to degrade me at all, but that was her way of complimenting me. But this is how my society looks upon women who have divorced. And especially if they've been divorced twice, they don't question the character or the behavior of the husband. It's the woman's fault. She must have done something wrong, or she should have forgiven him, or she should have put up with him more, or she should have made the marriage work, or etc. etc. This has been my biggest ugly. Like I always say, embrace I ugly. This has been my biggest ugly. My biggest fear was being judged and criticized for my character. And therefore, I look back on both marriages, I know that I did everything I possibly could to make those marriages work. And I only walked away from them at the point when there was no return, both times. Once when it was physically abusive, and secondly when it was highly, highly abusive, and I caught him in the act. Yet I still had hang up about it. I still had fears about being judged about it. And only recently, literally over the weekend, I became aware of that fact that this is no longer a point of shame for me. It's no longer a point which I have to justify myself. It's no longer become a point where I have to fear what people or my children or other people would think about me. It's got to the point where now it's, along with dyslexia, this has become my badge of honor. I share my experiences and I talk about what happened with a pinch of salt and with a laugh and a giggle. But still, I'm no longer embarrassed about it. I'm no longer concerned with other people's opinions about me regarding it. I feel empowered, I feel whole, I feel energized, and I joke about the incidents too. It's not a funny matter, but the way I described it is quite funny at times. But I realized my biggest fear has now slowly it took me a good 5 years, but slowly dissipated. I'm no longer concerned that when people hear about this, what will they think of me? I faced my fear, and the old saying, when you face your fears disappear. I cannot even tell you how truthful this is. And this has allowed me to become more empowered and more, would allow me to become more visible and more ambitious and go after my goals with even more, with more, ferocious, I think more ferocious vigor. I would be looking to expand my network, to deal with more people, and really communicate my talents and my abilities. Also, the fact that I'm now fully more aware of who I am. I'm no longer bogged down by the old image of myself, what was given to me or what I was led to believe. I am coming out of a highly abusive marriage. So when I did, it took me a long time. And I want to share this for those people who are in abusive relationships as well. I mean, this podcast isn't geared for that. This is geared towards changing your mindset. But I think abuse plays a major role in your money if you haven't dealt with the trauma. And it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you've been through a trauma, you have to deal with it. And if someone breaks your confidence, and I think by the way, I think women can do this to men just as easily as men can do to women. And I've seen it happen with men too. If you are in an abusive relationship and your confidence has been broken, then give yourself the time and space to build that back up. Don't expect yourself to be in the same state you were in before you got into that abusive relationship. You will get there eventually, but you have to give yourself time and space to grow. And I have not judged myself. I have consistently worked at myself to build myself up from where I was and where I felt this man had put me, from being, thinking I'm ugly and fat and stupid and unlovable and disrespectful and whatever have you. Because this man couldn't criticize my character. He had to criticize me as a person. So I was disrespectful and rude and obnoxious and arrogant about my education and whatever have you. I believed all those lies, and somewhere along the lines, I had to really tell myself, really acknowledge that I am intelligent, but I'm not arrogant about it. I am beautiful and I deserve to feel beautiful. And I am not deformed. I am not damaged goods. There's nothing wrong with me. And the fact that I have been through double divorce does not make me, does not allow, it does not give anyone permission to judge me. And I don't owe anybody any justifications. And I can actually openly talk about it and treat it as a scar, and use it, because I am a warrior. I came out the other end of 2 of these abusive marriages, but I now have the scars to show for it. But there's almost, those scars I can wear as badge of honors. I don't think I would ever fully heal. The scars will heal, but the scars will remain. Like the wounds have healed, but the scars will remain. But I don't think there's any need for the scars to go, because the scars make who I am. The scars make my character. I've been through hell and back, so why do I want to hide it? I've got another scar on my knee at the moment from the accident I had just a few months ago, and there's a big massive scar on my knee now. And yes, I want my knee to heal, but the scar I wear as badge of honor too. Like, I've been through that and I came out the other end, and the way I did it, I was so proud of myself. So I wanted to talk about on today's podcast. You have the ability to choose to face your fears, and once you fear them, you can overcome them. And the fears or the ugliness about you can wear it as badge of honor, or you can stay for the rest of your life hiding from your fears and thinking and believing that other people are judging you and other people are mistreating you or other people are thinking badly of you. I promise you, most people don't have the time to think about who you are or anything to do with you. They may gossip about you for about a few moments and then they give up and move on to the next topic, or they get on with their own life. They've got their own things to worry about. this idea that people are constantly talking about us and these things are going on about us is all in your head. It's not real. And as soon as you can face your fears, as soon as you can realize the things that you're hiding from the most, you need to face head on, the quicker you can attain your goals. And the loftier your goals, the quicker you should do this. I'm very ambitious. I think you guys have all know that. And I have this big long list that I want to achieve. In order for me to get there, I have to be visible. And in order for me to be visible, I have to accept what happened in my past and allow myself to be fully okay with it. And I think I just want to reinforce the idea for those of you who think this happens overnight, it doesn't. As strong as I am, and as much healing as I've done on myself, and as much work as I've done on myself and my mindset and my energy, it took me 6 years to overcome this ugliness that I felt. The first time I spoke about this ugliness was back in 2017. I wouldn't talk about it before. And it took a whole year for me to have the courage to discuss it. And I remember I did a Facebook Live and I talked about this, about what happened. And I mentioned about the first time ever that this is what Irfan had said to me. The words still ring in my head that even after everything I've done, no one's going to criticize me, no one's going to judge me, everyone's going to judge you. And even actually he said the point which was going to hurt me the most was, your kids will be referred to as, as your mother has 2 divorces and something, so etc. So he really dug the knife in deep and then twisted it. And it took me a whole year from the moment he said that to be able to acknowledge it online, in the public forum, that this is how it is my reality and this is who I am. And I remember this one person said to me, "You're going to regret talking about this in public." And I didn't believe with him then. I'm not in contact with him now. And I think he was trying to be my mentor. It was just not one of those awful. He was Desi, of course. He was from Pakistani origin. Not a very nice man, and he had not honest intentions towards me either. So I very quickly got rid of him. But apart from him, nobody else ever criticized me about it. Nobody even said that I shouldn't have shared it. And from that moment onwards, I have shared it a number of times, but not fully not fully and not with as much confidence as I am sharing now, as I have shared over this weekend. And that's why it's just on this weekend that I realized I have finally let go of my fear of being judged for being divorced twice. And considering neither divorce was a result of me, anything wrong that I did. It was the behavior on the part of the other party. It still astonishes me that it took me so long to come to this far and to be able to really acknowledge this, face my fears, and move on. And so I wanted to quickly share this with you guys. That this is a major win for me, and I wanted to share with you guys how blessed I feel and how I actually feel grateful to Device's Energy for putting me through this, because it's built my character. And had I not been through the trauma of both of these marriages, I would not be who I am right now. And I absolutely love and adore who I am right now. I really am proud of who I am. I like my personality. I like the way I think. I like what I'm doing and how I help people and what I'm able to do. And I would not be doing any of that had I not been through those traumas. So I'm actually grateful to Device's Energy for putting me through those traumas. That's an amazing place to be, when you can feel gratitude even for those traumas that seem to give you the biggest shame or seem to be your biggest ugly. So I hope you enjoyed today's podcast episode. I will join you again very, very soon. And until the next time we meet, this is Gull Khan signing off. Take care and bye for now.